Hello YouTube, this is Necrofish331 with another video. This one's in reference to something I just recently saw on Pojo. There's currently a thread in the gossip section that actually has a link to a petition, which is in regards to the March 2012 ban list, which I think as a whole, a majority of the player base can say is just absolutely terrible. As we know, they banned Trishula, Glope, Spore. Honestly, what's on the list, I don't think anyone is complaining about, except maybe Striker. But it's what's not on the list. It's what was, in a lot of people's opinions, and mine as well, what was intentionally ignored. That is what is bothering the player base. Plants are a good deck, yes. Okay? They've been around for forever. I get it that they should have been hit, and I'm glad. I mean, I played the deck myself for a while, but even I started to get bored from it, because it was part of the meta for just far too long. It was a tier 1 deck for over a year, so it was good that it was killed. But let's be honest, plants weren't doing much the last half of this format. Ever since Order of Chaos was released, other decks that are far better and more powerful than plants came out. And they weren't touched. Konami didn't do anything about, most particularly, the wind-up loop, which is something that you almost, if you weren't someone who had been playing Yu-Gi-Oh or whatever, if you were to hear about this loop, you would think it would be something that would have been in the traditional format, because it's that ridiculous and that broken and unfair. And Konami did nothing. They ignored it. They completely ignored the player base, and they expect to continue profiting off of our misery. They expect us to have to shell out hundreds of dollars to try to get a hold of maxis, just so that we don't get first turn looped. And what's worse, they basically put salt in the wound by making an article about Hunter and how to pull off the loop. Basically saying, hey, Yu-Gi-Oh players, we're endorsing this loop, even though we supposedly don't endorse loops or OTKs. Even though they released the set early, which made people believe that they were going to touch something from that set, but they didn't. They didn't do anything to address any of the problems that are occurring in this format, and they're just going to roll over to the next format, and we're going to be stuck with 3 decks dominating the meta, with maybe a few rogue decks here and there standing their ground, but it'll usually only be because of maxis. So anyways, there's a petition to, I don't know, to, tell Konami that we're sick of this, fix the problem, e-ban Hunter, something, just something to make it seem like you give a shit about the player base, because it really seems like you don't, and it really seems like you only care about making as much money off of us as possible. But you're not going to be making money off of us if we decide to quit and play other games that are more balanced and fair and fun. Because I'll tell you now, windups are not fun to play against. They're barely fun to play with. And, and people are getting really mad. And there's a new game that just came out that has a lot of, there's a lot of talk about it, maybe even overpowering Yu-Gi-Oh! Once the Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime goes out. And that's Card Fight Vanguard, and Konami better be careful. Their player base is mad. A lot of people are quitting. A lot of people are switching to different games. A lot of people are taking breaks, which could mean they won't be buying product from Konami till the next ban list. So they better shape up, and they better deal with this problem, because if they don't, they're going to lose this game. They're going to lose the player base, and you can help get them to realize this by signing this petition. I think in less than a day they've gotten, I think it was over 800 signatures. I mean, you gotta admit, this game isn't, that popular. This game isn't that widely played. I mean, it's a hobby that, you're lucky to find somebody, at the same college as you who plays it, let alone the same, city or country, whatever. There's not a whole lot of players, so 800 signatures really does mean a lot. And those are just the people who've seen the thread, and so go to Pojo, find that link, and sign it if you really don't like this ban list. I implore you to do so because, they may be ignoring us now, but they won't if there's enough of us who refuse to buy product, who refuse to partake in events until, for me personally, an E-ban Hunter, and I'll be fine. I will sit through the rest of the crap of this format and deal with it, but I don't want to deal with windups. I don't want to deal with the loop because it's bullshit. It is bullshit, and windup players know this themselves. In fact, most windup players aren't even proud of their decks anymore. They like the theme, but they don't want to admit that they can derp your hand, turn one without any effort, without paying any cost at all. And so, yeah, at the very least, use this as a means to deal with the wind-up loop, because that is the worst part of the game right now. I mean, down rabbits are a pain, and sectors that are a pain, but at least they give you some turns, and they don't they don't wipe out your hand before you can even do anything. They give you have options. But wind-up loop and wind-up bullshit, no. E-ban Hunter. That's basically what I'm using this petition as. If Konami won't listen to us, and if September these decks aren't changed or the format isn't balanced or attempting to be balanced. I mean, I know Konami has a very, very terrible job at balancing this game. I mean, it's laughable. The ban list isn't even used for its purpose anymore. It's used basically for profits. It's not used for, balancing the game. I've yet to see a list where it was just balance, balance, balance. I mean, the last list seemed like they were trying to do that, except for the BLS and the Heavy Storm, but we'll have to wait and see, I guess. September, we want to make sure we get what we deserve as a player base, because this game has gotten very stagnant over the years. I mean, so some radical changes need to be made. Now, if you agree with the ban list, then you're probably playing one of the big three decks, or you're dumb. The list was awful. It was horrible. So anyways, that's pretty much it for this video. Please sign that petition. They want to get 10,000 people, and I think it's possible. I mean, just one day they've gotten 800, and the day's not even over yet. So please, I implore you, check out that link, and try to get Konami to listen to us, because they really, really aren't. This is Necrofear331 signing up.